Hello and welcome to CarWale's Off-Road Day. It's that time of year when we celebrate true blue 4x4s, SUVs that can go anywhere, do anything and look good while doing it. And this year, we've got a really nice selection of SUVs as well. We've got petrols, we've got diesels, we've got automatics, manuals, and we've got affordable 4x4s and uber expensive ones as well. Now our plan today is to, of course, have fun with them, slide them, get some articulation going, and overall just get an impression of what these 4x4s feel like, because at the end of the day, this is a dying breed and so we want to celebrate them. And to do that, we are here at ProDirt, and our plan is to put these SUVs through some tests because we are CarWale, we want to bring in some objectivity, and these tests would essentially indicate what or how these cars are going to feel when you subject them to trails and obstacles that you find on those trails. But before we get to the tests, let's just quickly introduce what we have in store for you. Before we tell you more about our off-roading heroes, a word about our partner. We've joined hands with Gulf Formula SUV for our off-road day. Now, when going off-roading, depending on the terrain and weather, engines can run quite hot. A good engine oil can help prevent this. In fact, engine oil designed specifically for SUVs like Gulf Formula SUV can play a bigger role in both performance and longevity of a 4x4, especially in trying off-roading conditions. It helps achieve greater level of lubrication, so the induced friction, which kicks in extreme conditions, is kept in check. In fact, Gulf claims that repeated use of Formula SUV can reduce engine wear by up to 75%. And now, let's get back to our 4x4s. Let us begin with a small introduction to our machines. Small the Jimny might be in this company, but its hardware is spot on. It uses the sturdy body-on-ladder construction, it runs 3-link rigid axles front and back for suspension, and it only weighs around 1200 kg. And with a small footprint and good approach and departure angles, it should prove to be a plucky little thing. Engine is a 1.5-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol with not the most impressive output figures. It makes 102 bhp of power and 113.4 Nm of torque. It does get a proper low-range transfer case though, complete with brake-locking differentials to get you out of slippery situations. Finally, it runs 195/80 section tyres on 15-inch rims. This is the new Thar's second showing at our off-road day, given its strong performance last time round. It uses a ladder frame construction, and our unit today is powered by a 2.2-litre 4-cylinder diesel mated to a 6-speed torque converter automatic. The powertrain puts out 130 bhp and 300 Nm of torque. It uses the traditional transfer case setup, which means one has to manually shift from rear-wheel drive to 4-wheel high to drive all 4 wheels, and it also comes with low range to take on tougher off-road terrain. Suspension-wise, it has a modern all-independent setup, and it rides on massive 18-inch wheels shored with 255/65 all-terrain tires. The Gloster is powered by a 218 bhp 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine. But it is the peak torque of 480 Nm that should really make things easy for this MG when the going gets tough. The engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic, which then drives all 4 wheels all the time. It also gets 7 drive modes, including Eco, Snow, Sand, Mud, Rock, Sport and Automatic. The suspension is an all-independent setup, and the Gloster rides on 19-inch alloys draped in road-going 255/55 section tires. The Hilux is the only pickup here, and a high-priced one at that, but it has history and capability that is hard to fault. Our car runs a 200 bhp 2.8-litre diesel engine with a war-winning 500 Nm of torque. This is routed through a 6-speed torque converter automatic to the rear wheels. It does come with a proper 4-wheel drive system, of course complete with 4-wheel high and low range settings, and a limited slip differential as well. Suspension is old school and basic with independent double wishbones up front and leaf springs at the back. The Hilux rides on relatively chunky all-terrain tires 265/60 R18. The new Defender is a huge departure from the iconic predecessor. It is sophisticated and tech-laden with permanent four-wheel drive, a central differential, air suspension with adjustable ride height and Land Rover's own terrain response system to make off-roading easier. Our car here is powered by a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine which makes 296 bhp and 400 Nm of torque. It's running 255/60 section tires on 20-inch wheels, and these are all-terrain tires. Other important specs include a curb weight of over 2 tons and a ground clearance of 218 mm 1/8 that can be raised by an additional 70 mm 70 in the off-roading ride height setting. We have the G-Wagon in the G400D trim here. It has a 3-litre inline 6-cylinder turbo diesel that produces 326 bhp and an earth-moving 700 Nm of peak torque, which interestingly is available from just 1200 RPM. Power is sent to all 4 wheels via a 9-speed torque converter automatic transmission. Off-road performance is boosted thanks to a low range mode and not 1 but 3 fully locking differentials. The G-Wagon gets an independent front suspension and the rear is a solid axle. And in this Adventure Edition, it runs 19-inch alloy wheels. And now to the tests. What we're going to do with these 4x4s is that we're going to subject them to 5 tests. 4 of these are going to center around the powertrain, the mechanicals, the electronics, things that will work together towards giving them off-road ability, capability and prowess. But these are not your wheel in the air articulation kind of tests which bring in that sort of visual drama. So we've got tests that will bring out the ability when it comes to ride quality, when it comes to short acceleration when you want to go up a sand dune, for instance, things like that. And then of course the 5th test is a fun test where we're just going to lap these cars and see which does that in the quickest time. Now, since these tests are centered around the powertrain, the engine and gearbox, it's very important to have a very good engine oil to keep the engine running flawlessly. Now, as we rev these engines out and it's gonna get hot, so the engine will be subjected to very high temperature and stress. That's where a good engine oil comes into play, and that's something that's worth investing in. We begin proceedings with the acceleration test. The idea here is to see how quickly these SUVs can cover 40 meters from a standstill. This will tell us how good the respective 4x4 is at handling a difficult hill climb that requires a really short run-up to gain momentum. It will need to go up, let's say, on a sand dune, for instance. So we're starting our acceleration run or acceleration test with the Maruti Suzuki Jimny. It is the smallest, least powerful car here, or SUV 4x4, but it is also the lightest.
All clear, good to go.
Well, that's Ninad letting me know that we're ready to roll. Okay, and my expectations aren't very high given that it has, narrow tires, highway-centric tires or HT tires. But Jimny has the capability to surprise, so we'll find out how that goes. So we've shifted into 4 high, which is what we're going to do for most cars. We've turned off ESP, we've switched off the AC, and I think now we're ready to go. Okay, so the Jimny did better than I expected for sure. The launch was good. I thought that it would bog down, but it didn't. We had to slip the clutch a little. So if you are heading for a short, with a short run up and you want to take up a slippery climb, I think with the Jimny does manage to get the momentum up. And we did lose it towards the end. I mean, lose it as in the rear came out completely because our run actually ends around a bend. But I was pleasantly surprised that the steering's quick enough to hold a slide or correct a slide, even though it is a relatively slow steering. So yeah, car one done. Now let's move to the other one. So now we're in the Thar, and this is a good automatic. It doesn't really sap power out of the engine. and it's got these huge 18-inch tires with proper all-terrain grip, so it should dig into our gravelly surface that we're testing it on, and it should clock one of the quicker times, I think, in the 0 to 40 meters, but let's see if it does. So we've switched off the ESP, we've moved it into 4 high, and now let's see what it can do. All right, here we go. Okay, so as expected, it was quick. It was also entertaining because the rear steps out when you launch it. And of course, like the Jimny, there was some lift-off oversteer here too. But yes, it feels quick, it is smooth and nice. And if you ever want to get on a hill climb with a short run-up, well, this is a sweet one to do it in. So now we're in the Gloster for the acceleration test, and it is a huge car in terms of size. It's also got a big engine, diesel, and it's mated to an automatic. Now it has completely road biased tires. It is an SUV that's meant mainly for the road, but it has some really capable 4x4 hardware as well. So expectations, of course, when we start off, I have a feeling that it will struggle for grip. And then when it catches on, of course, with that diesel engine, the momentum should be good, but we're only doing 0 to 400 meters, so there isn't a lot for the Gloster to play with. So I'm actually not sure about this one. We'll find out, I guess, once we cross the line. So we're ready to go. Okay, so as expected, yes, it wasn't great off the line, at least in terms of feel. I don't know what the times will say, but once it caught on, good momentum, and there is no that surge that we thought we would feel, or I would feel. And that could also be because of the off-road mode that we chose, because it's so slippery, so gravelly. We thought, and there is no gravel mode, we thought the closest that we could come is sand, and that's what we chose. And but yeah, we'll see the time. But yes, I mean, at the end of 40 meters, there was enough and more momentum, really. But unlike the other cars that we've done so far, this one felt quite stable, even under braking around a corner on the slippery surface. So kudos on that front. So the Hilux starts off at a disadvantage in our book, especially in the 0 to 40 meter, slippery acceleration test. A, it is heavy, and 2, it runs highway-centric HT tires. So this is not a great combination, honestly, and it's not really, or let's say it's not shockingly powerful. Yes, there is torque, and it's a turbo diesel, so there is decent amount of pull for sure. Plus, it's mated to an automatic, and we definitely would bet against it clocking the fastest time. But we might bet, or we might go along with the fact that it might clock one of the slower ones. But let's see what it does. So we've switched off the ESP, we've switched to power mode, we've switched to 4 high, and we've gone to sport mode on the gear shifter. So now. Okay, so it definitely felt quicker than I thought it would, and there was plenty of movement as well, especially when we came around the curve at the end of acceleration, and so the car just went into a little bounce. But you can feel the length of the car, and but yeah, in the 0 to 40 meter test, I think it would have clocked a reasonably quick time because it felt quicker than I thought it would be. Now, as it turns out, when it comes to predicting, or when it comes to what the expectations are of the car during this 0 to 40 meters, I've been getting it royally wrong. So, but I'm gonna still continue with my gut feel, and I'm gonna say this is heavy, but it's got nice all-terrain tires, but mostly It's got a very smart electronic system which should help it launch in low traction. So I'm expecting, even though given its bulk, I think it might just be the quickest of the lot here, but I have been known to be proven wrong in the past, so let's see how it goes. So we've chosen the mode which is gravel, snow and grass, which is a slippery thing, and it gave us the option of choosing low traction launch, which we've chosen, yes, and we've shifted the gear changes to sport, so let's see how that goes. Wow, it was fast. Okay, so yeah, pretty fast. But that was expected. So maybe this time I've got it right in terms of what I predicted or what I thought it would do and what it's done. And it feels so effortless, you know, just digs in, just goes. Very entertaining. Felt a little, definitely felt the fastest, and very entertaining at the end too. We're doing our final acceleration test in the G-Wagon, and there is no off-road mode to choose from, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go with sport. I don't know if you were to go sand duning, whether you'd do it in sport or not, but this seems to be the most logical mode to go with right now, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll select sport, we will turn off ESP, and we have set it in high range, and with 700 Newton meters of torque we should do a reasonably quick 0 to 440 meter run, maybe better than a few cars, but maybe not the best, but we'll see. I guess we're ready now. Was quick for sure, and the balance, even after we finish the run, we end up in a curve and we got to brake around the curve so that we don't hit this wall. And like every other SUV here, of course the tail comes out, but the way it comes out on this is a lot more manageable, but that of course is a story for another day. Acceleration felt very seamless, very smooth. It dug in well, didn't have a lot of slip, it didn't move around too much. It didn't feel like the SP is impeding the progress, so very seamless. And I think, I don't know what the time's going to be like, but seemed quick for sure. When off-roading, one must drive as slow as possible and only as fast as necessary. And there is no better situation that embodies this than coming down a slippery slope. In our case, the slope isn't exactly very slippery, but it will still give us a good idea what these SUVs are capable of. The idea here is to come down as slow as possible, so the slower, the better, and of course we will use hill descent function, which is available on all cars here. Now we're back in the Jimny and we're doing the hill descent. The thing with the Jimny is that it's a very simple SUV, so you've got low range and you've got a hill descent button. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to shift it into low range. We're going to put it in first. We're going to put hill descent on and then just let it go. No brakes, no accelerator, no nothing. Just roll it down. It will be relatively slow, we believe, but would it be the slowest? Maybe not. Maybe cars that have more serious electronics might make a bigger difference, but I guess we'll find out. So yeah, let's go. So it feels reasonably slow, yes, it does, and maybe a steeper slope might give it a bigger challenge, but this definitely wasn't as challenging. Now we're going to have a go in the Thar, and like the Jimny, it gets a low range and it's got hill descent control. And that's about it in terms of electronics, but the Jimny was of course a manual and a petrol, and this is an automatic and diesel. So again, I don't really know what to expect, so we'll see how it does in terms of being slow down a slippery slope. Okay, we're ready now. We're good. Well, that's taken off really fast. Wow, that that was really quick. I don't know what I did wrong, but it's not supposed to come back this quickly. Let me try. Okay, so we're giving it another go in the Thar, because even though I think I did everything right in terms of engaging for low and going on to hill descent control, which doesn't seem to be, yeah, okay, I did that, and then I put it in D, and then it just rolled down, but I will see if, now I've put it in first manual and then see how it goes. Okay, it's much slower now. Yeah, so it probably didn't engage the first time, but this time it did, so this is good. So now we're in the Gloster, and unlike the Jimny and the Thar, there is no real low range that you can manually select, and it is heavily driven by electronics. You've got plenty of drive modes. What we've done is we've chosen the rock mode, because that is what we feel is low ratio for this car in that sense. And of course we've gone with hill descent control, and what we will also do is we will go to manual. Yeah, okay, let's see how it does. So that was the, let's say, the side board of the car, which scraped over the hump. Yes, but otherwise reasonably slow, not too bad. We've now moved to the Hilux, and compared to the Gloster, there is old school mechanical off-road stuff tech here, like we saw in the Thar and the Jimny. So we've selected 4-low, and there are no real driving modes to choose from: rock, snow, sand, etc. So there's nothing to choose there. We've switched on the hill descent control, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the automatic box in manual mode, which should give us better control and slower speeds going down. So let's see. All right, so it takes off slightly quickly than we would have expected, but then it slows down quite dramatically, and you can see that it's breaking its way down. The steering's fighting a little, but yeah, it is pretty slow, and that's quite good, I think. This is a complicated car. Why can't I get like one simple button to do stuff with? Alright, so I can't select low right now, so I'm just going to go with what I have. Alright, it did manage to go into low, so let's see. So now we're in rock crawl, we are in low range, we've got hill descent at its slowest that we can get, and we'll see how effective that is, whether electronics win the day or is old school. Okay, let's see where we go. Oh my, it is unbelievably slow. I think I can read a book here, or maybe just get out, take a stroll and come back. Maybe we'll see you. I mean, it's ridiculously so. We're slow, sorry, we're doing 1 kilometer an hour. That's how slow you can come down in the Defender. It's hilarious. I mean, our timing crew is laughing there as well, because they just can't believe, unless they're getting bored just waiting. My God, it is unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, it's so slow, But the thing is that you can adjust the speed, so if you want to go down a slope faster, you can, thanks to adjustability. Let's find out how slow the time is. I went off to sleep, so I have no idea.
That's what I'm saying, we'll go have lunch.
I would say about 36 seconds.
You're still wrong.
Really?
41.97.
Wow.
41.97.
Wow, that's super duper slow. Super duper slow.
That's almost.
Now in the G-Wagon, there is no direct hill descent button. And so the only way to slow things down when you're going downhill is to go in low range. And yeah, that's it. There is no special mode. There is no shortcut button or anything. Yeah, I'm still looking for it just in case if I haven't looked enough and I miss it. So no, I couldn't find it. So that's what we're going to do. So I have no idea whether it'll, and we're going to leave it in D. Or actually we should do first, I think that would make more sense. So we will manually go to 1 and then let's see how slow it goes down. I don't know how fast or slow it's going to go down, so I guess we'll find out. Alright, so it took off a little faster, but then it is actually quite slow. So clearly you don't really need hill descent because we are doing, I don't know, maybe 2-3 kilometers an hour. So maybe it'll challenge, maybe it might challenge the Defender, maybe it won't, but there is no adjustability for speed available here. We are in first. I don't know how it would have reacted in D, but yeah. Now, on an odd chance that you get chased by an elephant or a rhino while driving on a forest trail, well, you will need a 4x4 that's quick, agile and easy in order to outrun the four-legged mammoths through a maze of trees and rocks and shrubs and what have you. Ergo, we need to know how they do around the slalom. Slalom is somewhere that the Jimny should shine because we've set the cones reasonably far apart, about 10 meters or so I think, and Jimny's got a small wheelbase, it's a tiny car. However, in terms of turning circle and steering is lock to lock, it is a little slow. So we will find out if that makes a big difference when it comes to clocking a quick time around a slalom course. Oh my god, I guess I went in too fast, but yeah, could have done it slower. Should have done it in first, but yeah, it starts to get loose very fast when we make a transition from grass to mud and mud to grass. And again, lots of, I think the slow steering makes it a lot of effort and it's very difficult to keep it close to the cones. But entertaining nonetheless. Now the Thar for an off-roader has a decently quick steering. It's also not a very long car, but it is wide, and so around our curving slalom course, well, it might prove a little challenging, but not too much. The only thing that I fear is that I shouldn't get greedy with all that power, and then once you start doing that, then you start running wider and wider, and then I'll lose time. So let's see how that goes. Right.
Hi, Tuesday, come on. Commands on the other side. Please repeat.
All right. So I clearly pressed a button, unknowingly voice command, but again, decent turns lock to lock, but it was tighter than I had imagined, so feels more maneuverable if a pack of elephant does chase you through a trail in a jungle, so not bad at all. Now after the Thar and the Jimny, we're back in the Gloster, which is of course, I mean, you have a lot more electronics on this car and you have various drive modes. Now I'm not sure which drive mode to go with, given that we've got both grass and a bit of gravel, I would say, or mud. So we're going to choose mud because we still want some decent throttle response. We've also turned off the ESP because we want a little more control. And it is a big car, the Gloster, but it has a reasonably quick steering, and I'm hoping that apart from its length, everything else should fall in place for it to do well around our curved, challenging slalom. I mean, it's clearly the throttle response is not so great, but ooh, its handling towards the end was a little too much, but otherwise I think it was a handful, maybe because it started moving around when I didn't expect it to, when it was making a transition between grass and mud, gravel, whatever I might call it. But easy to control though, feels light, steering's quick, steering's light, so not too difficult to get it back into shape. So I would say yeah, it was reasonably entertaining. So we're in the Hilux now, and it is a long car. It has a long wheelbase, it is heavy, it is wide, and it doesn't have the lightest of steering. So yeah, as you can tell by my tone and the choice of words, that this isn't going to be as enjoyable or easy, but let's see. I mean, the Hilux has surprised us in the 2 tests that we've done in the day, and maybe it has something up its sleeve here too. So what we've done is we've gone into 4 high, we've gone into power mode, we've selected D, let's go with S, and what we've also done is that we've opted for auto LSD as an option instead of switching the traction control completely off. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so I guess, pardon the swear word, but I guess it was expected. It is long and the steering's heavy and it kicks back and there's too much turns lock to lock. Yeah, so I guess this is the one test where the Hilux felt exactly as we thought it would. Yep, that's that. So from the Hilux, we're moving to the Defender, and we're immediately hopeful that the steering will be a lot easier to use. And from what we've seen of the Defender, of course, when it comes to serious off-roading, it has all the electronic help, and even now we're using this grass plus slight gravel plus mud sort of split in the slalom, and here there is a dedicated mode just for that, and that's what we've switched to. And so yeah, expectation is, given how it's done in the previous 2 tests, that it would nail this one too, unless of course I make a mistake. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't. Okay. Alright, so clearly the whole traction mode works really well, because the moment I start running wide off the cones, it pulls me back. It doesn't allow me to put down the kind of power that I would have liked to after I'd made the cone, but still there's a kind of delay there, but it still pulls it back, and it makes this whole hulk of a car feel a lot compact. And so impressive for sure, and I think the times will tell as well. And then of course, the moment you've got your steering straightened and you're making it for the last box, you can just get on it and just go zoom. So not surprisingly, it is very impressive. The G-Wagon, of course, is legendary, and it really hasn't changed in its shape on the outside, or probably its ethos, over so many years, unlike the Defender, for instance. And this is, of course, the 400D, and what we expect from this is that, given it's not really very overtly long or wide or whatever. We expect it to have good response through the slalom. It's got Mercedes running gear underneath, and I'm hoping that will make a difference. And one of the other things that I feel that it might do well on the slalom is because there is no real off-road mode here, so we're going with comfort, and let's see how it does. But I think it will be one of the quicker ones. All right. All right, so it seems to need more steerings lock to lock than I had imagined. I had thought it will be slightly quicker, but of course it is the G-Wagon. So there was a little more work involved, and even though I'd selected individual mode to make the steering lighter, it was still heavier than I'd expected. But in terms of ability to change directions and go through cones, and of course it's so clear, you can keep it very close to the cones. So I think it should be a quick time, but I've been getting this wrong all day, so let's see how that goes.